at a certain point, if you train yourself enough, you are so powerful in that kindness that you look beyond the rudeness and you see the pain, you see suffering human being. Does that mean that I allow disrespect? No, I speak my truth in a powerful way. I'm not the doormat. If they misbehave, if they're not respectful, I can say that in a kind way, but also understand that they are mainly suffering.
Welcome to the Professional Rule Breaker Show. I'm your host, Kathy Walterhouse, and I have a very special treat for you today. And I want to ask you, have you ever been with someone? Have you ever met someone that when you spend time with them, it makes you feel like you're a better person because of it, and maybe even try to become even a better person? Well, that is who my next guest is to me. So she is a global kindness advocate. She's a mentor, a personal and business coach. She's a speaker, and she's ranked #1 in the top 50 global thought leaders on mental health by Thinkers 360. She's been published in Huffington Post and Thrive Global, and she reaches, get this, millions of people every week with her inspirational talks on different social media platforms. She's the founder of the Barbara Vercruysse Empowerment and Kindness Institute, where her mission is to offer individuals and organizations tools and insights to lead with kindness and compassion. And this woman is very busy because she has a new book coming out. And I have to say, she's also really a story of triumph because she's the survivor of stage 4 cancer from a few years back when she was diagnosed at 32. And because of that, she wants to leave a positive impact and leave the world a better place than she found it, which just, that's resonates with me so much. And so I am so happy and thrilled to welcome my friend, Barbara Vercruysse.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you for the gracious introduction. I'm happy to be here with you. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here.
Like I said, you're so special to me. I mean, you really do. When I speak to you or I listen to one of your talks that you do, it really does make me feel like, okay, I need to up my game and become a better person.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to start with this. I want to rewind a little bit. I want to rewind to when you were diagnosed with cancer, because I have so many friends right now that are either fighting cancer or they're a cancer survivor. And I just think it gives hope to anyone out there. When you can talk to survivors of cancer, but I also want to know, was that kind of the shift for you? Was that a change in your outlook that I think helped you survive?
Well, I think it brought me back to myself. I was 32, the mom of 2 toddlers and a baby, married since 5 years, running a construction business since 5 years too. So you can imagine the news came as a shock. I had a black spot on my knee and it kept bleeding, and I was so busy and wouldn't go to the doctor until my husband forced me to go to see a doctor For
And
me,
I'm
it
so
was like
happy you did.
I have no time for this. So I went to the doctor, and then they did a little biopsy, and then I got 10 days later a call from the hospital. And I already forgot about it. And they were like, yeah, Mrs. Vercruysse, we're calling for the biopsy. And I was like, yes, the little black spot on your knees. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they said, like, you have to come to the hospital right now. And I was like, it was a Monday morning. I have no time for this. And then they put me through to the surgeon, and he said, well, Ms. Vercruysse, you have to come right now. We have seen that it's very deep. It's no good, like, and I was like, deep? Don't know. It's a melanoma, he said, and it's cancer. It's skin cancer. And once you hear that word, I was like, that's not possible. I'm not sick. I'm not feeling anything. So, but he was so insisting, and your husband has to join you. So like 2 hours later, we were in the hospital, and then we get like, it starts like sinking in. He was like, okay, this doesn't look good. We have to take more examinations. We have to look. And within the week, I had to stay all week for to see how, like how much it was, well, where it was. And then I got a biopsy from my lymph nodes, and then get another bad news again, like, okay, there's metastasis in all your lymph nodes. It doesn't look good at all. You might not, it was in April 2003, so it's 20 years. I have a 20-year anniversary of surviving.
Yes, a celebration.
Well, I practically got a message, you will probably not be here anymore by the end of the year.
Wow.
Yes. And the first night in hospital, when I had to stay to have a major surgery, it was like, for me, not having the kids around me. I was used to having, it was so quiet. And I was looking at the ceiling and really, like tears welling up, missing my babies. But then I very quickly made a shift, like, okay, Barbara, where they are now, they were with my parents-in-law. For them, they were so small, like 3.5, 2 years old, and Jean-Baptiste was only 2 months old. And I was like, okay, they have no clue what's going on.
Right.
They are happy with their grandparents. They thought they were on a vacation, so they were perfectly happy. And I thought, okay, this doesn't make sense for you to lay here in bed and cry. And this will not have a good effect on your health. It will weaken you. So that very quickly, like I shifted, what is in my power right now that I can do to help myself? What is in my power right now? And I knew I had only control over one thing. It was my thoughts. It was my attitude and my outlook. I had no control over the doctors, no control, like whatever. But my outlook, that was within my control. So I decided, it was a very conscious decision in the beginning, to stay joyful and positive, whatever happens, because I know it would help me. And I knew that even if these were my last 6 months, I wanted to pass them with a smile, not in misery. Even if I had physical pain, I wanted to, like to have that joyful feeling, which sounds strange, but it was really like some self-preservation that I had, that very deep drive. So in the beginning, I even had to, you could say, educate the people around me, because everybody who came to visit me, even high school friends, everybody came in the room and started crying, because they were like, oh my God, like, here this woman, 32 years old, like she has 3 young kids, and they saw me already dead. So I had to tell my husband, first to him, no crying anymore. You do not cry in my presence. That doesn't help me. If I
It's like
have
you were
to
the
cheer,
strong one. You were the strong one.
if I have to start cheering up everybody around me, I get exhausted. So even to my parents, like for my parents, they had the age that I have now. So you can imagine, they were in their early 50s. I had to say, okay, you can cry all you want at home. You come in the hospital room, you just are your best self. You talk about things that are happening outside, and I will not repeat every time again what I went through that day. Because if you talk about your pain, you talk about the disease, you repeat the pain. And in repeating and talking again, you weaken yourself again. So there were days that I felt strong enough to talk about it. There were days that I didn't feel to talk about it. When I had pain, or sometimes I didn't have the courage to talk a lot, but then I would listen. And I would want my husband or my parents to talk about the kids. What did they do at school? What did they play? What did they, like just having to feel like I was still alive, and having like, yes, entertain me with positive things. So after I educated everybody, they knew not in the hospital room with sad stories, with misery. No, we don't. Then, came the difficult period of all the surgeries, of the pain. And I don't know if I told you this before, that after my second surgery, I had a very deep spiritual experience. I was in deep, deep pain. I had so much pain after that second surgery, because they took away all my lymph nodes. So my right leg had can you see? Yeah, like a cut like this, and everything. There was a whole hole in my upper leg, and was very painful. And I woke up after surgery, so much pain, and there was still the conscious part of me, like strong and wanting to fight, and I'm going to get this. But then there was so much pain that all of a sudden I was thinking, okay, if this is over, if this is it was a moment of surrendering. I was like, okay, if it's my time now, if it's over, take me. Like that was what I was feeling, because I was in too much pain and too exhausted. But in that moment of surrendering, of saying like, just take me, it's okay, I'm ready to leave, like to let go of everything. That was when I had the most profound experience. And do you see the light coming up? I had, it was like a warm blanket, and something, I don't know if it was really talking to me, but I felt like, you are going to be okay. Relax, you are going to be okay. And I started like tears of joy. And my sister was in the room, and she was like, are you crying? Are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm happy. These are tears of joy. And she, tears of joy? I say, yes, I will be well. And since that moment, I had a deep confidence. It's as something told me, like, Barbara, you will be okay. And even if the doctors at that moment were still saying, well, we still have to go to a year of chemotherapy. It's still very, like you still have very little chance to survive. In my heart, I knew I would survive. And, it was the catalyst moment also for, okay, I had all those days and months in hospital. Once I survive this, what will I do with my life? And that was a big one, because until then, I had lived like most people, up to the expectations of society, of our peers. You go to college, you have the degree, you married, I started a business, but quite unconscious choices. I did it because I thought, that's what makes you happy. You marry, you get kids, you get a job, and we are told that's the key to happiness.
right? And that's
I
what you're
know now.
supposed to do, right?
You're supposed to do. Yes,
Yeah.
supposed to do. I know now that's a lie. The key to happiness is not outside you. We know that. You know that. I know that.
Mhm.
But first, let's get back to the catalyst moment that I made a promise to myself. I told myself, okay, once I recover here, I will find why I was put on this earth here. And it took me many years. It's not like I came out of the hospital and all of a sudden I knew, like I was running a construction business, so I was very much into the real world. It's not like I closed everything down and went to an ashram in India. No, I'm much too grounded for that. And I have a too much sense of responsibility for my husband and children. So I continued the construction business, but I started this search, like soul search. And I connected back with that question as a child, that comment that I always got as a child: Barbara, you're too kind for this world. You will never be successful. And I could never understand that. What does that mean? You're too kind. Did that mean I had to be less kind? And I could see how many people were struggling with, like people who really wanted to play that game of the worldly success were putting up that mask of competitiveness, toughness, like we have to kill the competitor. I'm
That's right.
better, I'm
Mhm.
stronger. And they wear that mask such a long time that at a certain moment they don't know anymore that it's a mask. It's not who they are. They have identified so much.
That's right. There's almost
So,
like a shield around you that sometimes in society you start building it up because
mhm,
of exactly what you said, is that kindness is viewed as a weakness.
mhm,
And if you're kind, the thought is people will take advantage of you. But I,
absolutely.
I just have to say, I love that you shared that. To me, it's a divine, profound moment. There was, a miracle or whatever it was,
Yes.
that happened at that time that really just kind of
Mhm,
wrapped you up
mhm,
in, grace
mhm.
and almost led you,
Yes.
out of the darkness, I guess, of that pain, out of everything that's
Mhm,
out there. And I always think everything happens for a reason.
yes.
So, and that, it's led you even to where you are today and being on my podcast, and the people that happen to be listening, or that are
Mhm.
lucky enough to listen to you. I think that that's all it's almost like it's a not necessarily a predetermined plan, but it can be.
It can be. After all those years, my main mission is to bring love and light wherever I am. And
Mm.
I know that takes many forms. So if it's being with you here tonight, I bring love and light. If it's in my work, one of my biggest clients now is BMW. If it's at BMW, I bring love and light. If it's in the kitchen with my family, I bring love and light. Do I, can I do that every second of every day? No.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was just
No.
about ready to ask you. So how do you
No.
do that? Because obviously there are times where it's easier to do that.
Mhm.
And then there's times that you're like, and do you recenter yourself or how do you do that?
Yes, especially, like you start the day with your intentions, setting your intentions for the day. And one of my everyday intentions is whatever comes my path today, I will deal with it with grace and ease. So whatever comes my path today, I will deal with it with grace and ease. Because we don't live in La La Land. I don't live on a pink cloud. I didn't, like detach myself from society and sit in a monastery. I'm really much into real life. But when I it's a training, like it's kindness is a choice because it is you wrapping yourself in the kindness. So it's mostly the gift to yourself. So even if that other person becomes rude or gives a rude comment, I have trained myself to stay in my own loving energy, because I know if I take over the negativity from the other person, it's mostly, like lowering my vibration,
Right.
but it's giving my power away. So kindness is powerful because you keep your power in your kindness. You don't give, for me, it's always to maintain my purity and my loving spirit and not let it be dimmed by somebody else's traumas or wounds, because it's only a traumatized, a wounded person, immature person. And I'm not saying this in a judgmental way at all, because at a certain point, if you train yourself enough, you are so powerful in that kindness that you look beyond the rudeness and you see the pain, you see a suffering human being. Does that mean that I allow disrespect? No, I speak my truth in a powerful way. I'm not the doormat. If they misbehave, if they're not respectful, I can say that in a kind way, but also understand that they are mainly suffering. So it's keeping your power, but being very compassionate. Because we are all, in one way or another, we have been struggling or we are struggling.
Right.
I do not feel like I'm not above anybody. I'm not below. I'm in this human form at this moment, doing the best I can. And I'm sure that everybody does the best he can with the paradigm they live in, or what, like the thoughts they have. It's what they think they have to do at that moment. And us judging someone else doesn't help the situation. We only start dimming ourselves again. So in becoming rude or in becoming judgmental, we just dim our light. So in being powerful, I love very much the story of turning the other cheek. Many people say, like when you get slapped on one cheek, turn the other cheek. In our Western society, people would say, oh my God, you're stupid. Not like you let somebody else. No. If you turn in a very, like calm, centered way, you turn your face saying, I've got this. It is the person who slaps, who is imbalanced, who is eaten away by emotions, by, like anger, frustration, who is, like out of control.
Right.
Of course, I don't have, like if somebody threatens with your life, I don't say like let them kill you. No, but here we're speaking symbolically. Symbolically, like if some turn the other cheek is powerful because it doesn't get to you. It doesn't overpower you.
Is there a way, because all of us know people that are either angry or we've had a terrible boss or could be all sorts of different types of scenarios. How do we help those individuals shift?
We don't help them, we lead by example.
Okay.
Never try to help, never try to give advice. Just lead by example. And in seeing you staying unaffected by their rudeness, they are most surprised, because to fight you have to be two. So to discuss, to want to be right and to want to be better, you have to be two. If you stay out of that conversation, if you stay out of the rudeness, even silent, then you pause, or you let them vent, or like then you pause and then you say, stop it now. And then you go quietly but very firmly. You can just speak your truth. but as a response, not as an impulse or a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to cut you, and it's our impulse, you know, like to punch back. So we make sure we don't have the punch, then we recenter, and then we speak up. And I think that's the power of people becoming, and I see it, you know, like on several social media networks and on LinkedIn, more and more people become aware, where more and more individuals are awakening to like thinking like, okay, you know, like when somebody else yelling back, we're beyond that. We're growing up. There's still a lot of people in there. You could say they're 70 years old and they're still in their adolescence mentally, or even in childhood mentally. And I think especially when you consume a lot of daily news or drama, or you're still in that vibe. So I rarely watch the news. I'm very, very picky about who I surround myself with, what I read, what I listen to, because I know it adds to my energy. And I think that's so important. If you watch drama every day, if you watch two politicians fighting, it just, you know, like it dims you.
It does.
So become very aware. Make your space around you, make it you to be joyful. It doesn't have to be expensive. You with your little lights behind you, it can be little things. But just take, you know, kindness starts with self-kindness.
That is a wonderful point, because I think sometimes we can almost be, I don't know if I should really use this term, but people pleasers, where we are kind to everyone, put
Yes.
everyone else completely first, but yet we're not kind to ourselves.
And I think that people pleasing has nothing to do with kindness. People pleasing and what I would call niceness is very different from kindness, because people pleasing is it's more something taught behavior. We are very much outward oriented. We need approval, you know, like to fill that void of self-worth, you know, like we need appreciation, we need and sometimes we have that false belief that if we're not always smiling and saying yes, we're not a good person. So that's I had that for a long time. I was a people pleaser and I wanted to make everybody happy, until I discovered that the happiness is not outside me. It's not, and it's mostly in me being fully connected. You could say with that divine part in me, fully connected, that I'm so full of light and love that I only want to share it. But if somebody does not want to receive it, that's okay. I'm here to share. Just think at this as a rose with its fragrance. The rose will not decide who can enjoy the fragrance and who not. It just gives, or the sun, you know, like the sun shines. It shines on what we call bad people too. It doesn't care. So it's about being fully yourself, blossoming as yourself. And in that, all you can do is share, because you are so, there is nobody outside you determining your worth, determining if you are worthy or not, if you are lovable or not, because you know. And if somebody doesn't see it, that's okay. We try to take distance from those people. Just bless them, but take distance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I just love listening to you. So that ends part one of my interview with my friend, Barbara Vercruysse. And she gave us so much wisdom on how to stay in the powerfulness of kindness. And, you know, she said a couple of very interesting points that I absolutely love. One of which is the key to happiness is inside us. Let me just repeat that. The key to happiness is inside us. And when things are blowing up all around us, we don't need to let those things dim our light and change our state of being. Barbara actually said one of the things that she does is she says, whatever comes in my path, I will deal with grace and ease. So just remember that when you are having one of those days, that you can make a switch in how the rest of your day is going and go back into the state of really being in grace and being in kindness. So all my friends that are out there listening, just take the information that you learn and take all the amazing goodness that you have and make it like it's a stone that you're throwing into a stream and cause a ripple effect and make a big difference in this world. And also, by the way, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast because you don't want to miss part 2 of my interview with my friend Barbara. So again, thank you for joining. And it's truly my honor and privilege to be able to do this for you.